I'm moving forward every day, Jesus. I just let him lead the way every second, every minute, every hour of the day. I'm moving with Jesus every day, 24/7. With Jesus every day, 24/7. I'm moving with Jesus. I'm moving with Jesus every day.
Red and yellow, black and white, we are precious in his sight. Jesus loves the little children of this world. I'm sure you're all familiar with that children's song. In fact, Jesus loves us all, children and adults alike, despite our skin color. I am Joleen MeHarris-Simpson, your co-host for today, and we have on set Miss Avalon Clarke, president of the Trinidad and Tobago Albino Foundation. Welcome, Avalon.
Thank you for having me.
How are you doing today?
I'm good.
Okay, great. So, Avalon, you are a person with albinism.
Yes, I'm a
yourself.
person with albinism myself.
I'm sure we've all seen someone who's an albino, and we've wondered, I wonder how they're so light-skinned. Can you give us some more information on what is albinism?
Well, albinism is a genetic condition. Persons with albinism have little to no melanin in their hair, skin, and eyes.
So when you say genetic, you're born like that?
Yeah, I'm born like that. I'm born like that. If we didn't, because there's a lot of myths. People believe we came from all sorts of things, but no, this is how I'm born. I'm not an American, because that's generally the perspective. Are you from America?
Yes.
No, this is how I am. This is how I was born from day one.
Are there different types of albinism?
Yes, actually there are two general types, oculocutaneous albinism and ocular albinism. Oculocutaneous albinism means that there's a lack of pigment in the hair, skin, and eyes. That's what I have. And then there's the ocular albinism, where it only affects the eyes.
Ooh. Is there a cure for albinism? I mean, is there anything you can do about it?
Well, it's not a disease. It's just a condition.
Right.
So it means that we just have to live differently in terms of, as we have no melanin, we have to protect our eyes from the sun. We have to wear protective clothing. We must wear sunscreen at all times once we are outside, outdoors. It doesn't even matter if the sun isn't shining. Once there's the rays from the sun, we will be affected. So we must wear it at all times.
And are there any health challenges that persons face with albinism?
Well, there's the eyes. We must, because we can't see, we are visually impaired. We must wear glasses or any eye protection, anything that could protect the eyes generally from the harmful rays of the sun and things like that. Or even if we're in a classroom or in the work setting using computers, you find that you have to take measures to protect your eyes. And then there's this skin issue where you must protect your skin because you can get things like skin cancer. There's a form of skin cancer you can get easily. So we must protect our skin at all times.
Okay, that's important to note. So I started off the program with the children's song. I mean, if I could have sung, I would have sung it, but I would leave that for the singers. Avalon, we spoke about red and yellow, black and white. I mean, albinism affects any one ethnic group?
Oh no, albinism is across the board. Every race, every species, anything that is, once you're living, anything that is living, any living creature, any human, there's albinism present. It could be found anywhere, in birds, cats, rats, dogs, well, humans, of course, fishes.
Wow, that's something I never knew
Even
before.
flowers.
Flowers?
Yeah.
Wow, something I never knew before. Somehow, I grew up thinking that it only affected person of African descent.
Oh no, there's white albinos, there's Chinese, Russians, Asians.
Okay, so it's across the board.
Across the board.
So we learned about that today.
Yeah.
What about children who they're going to school and they're feeling, I'm all alone, I have this thing, albinism. I mean, what challenges starting with children growing into adulthood, do persons face with albinism?
Well, for children, generally the main challenge is having to interact and function in a classroom. Because we can't see well, there's that problem where there's a divide or between the teacher and the student with albinism. Because most times the teacher don't have that knowledge or understanding that this particular student needs help. She needs to be, you need individual attention. You need to go in and see where you can assist, allow this person to be able to see the work on the blackboard or the whiteboard, whatever they use. Yeah, we won't be able to see it at any one time. So they must, you face that challenge where you can't see the work. And sometimes it keeps you back because you could be a student that has a lot of potential.
Right.
But with the teachers not understanding, you tend to get left behind.
Right, so it's important that teachers are aware of the condition if such a student is in their class so that they sit up in front.
Yes, you must sit in front, and the teacher must take precautions, ask, can you see, how do you want me to assist you? Because although we are visually impaired, we all see differently, we all adapt differently with our eyes. So you must speak to that, you must have that communication with the student to find out how you can meet that particular need.
Okay, and I'm thinking back to primary school. I mean, as soon as the bell goes for break or for lunch, you run outside to play in the sun. I mean, how does that child deal with not being able to be out in the sun long enough?
Yeah, that could be challenging because you're thinking, well, I want to be out there with my friends. But, that child always have to know that, from small, to come from the parents always telling them that you must put on your sunscreen. And always remember that not to take the direct sunlight because, when you're playing out there, you'll forget all about that and you'll just keep playing.
Yes.
But they have to always remember to pull back, and keep in the shade and things like that. Or even encourage your friends.
Right.
And that's how you spread knowledge. You tell your friends, well, I have this condition. I can't think, so let us play on this side where it's cooler.
Right, to play in the shade.
Yeah.
Or maybe they can be a little more sensitive and do some indoor games sometimes.
Play under a tree, things like that.
Okay, well, that was good. And that will help them feel, more included.
Yes, definitely.
Tell us a bit about technology. I mean, so you're moving on from primary school, secondary school. I mean, what is technology offering us now that persons with albinism can use to help them?
Mm-hmm. Well, now, with the dawn of technology, we don't even have to go that far. You could go as basic as your cell phone. There's text-to-speech. So you don't necessarily have to be looking down, fighting for words. You could use the text-to-speech program.
Text-to-speech. So there's a program on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
I do have to download it?
It's there. Once you have a smartphone, it's there. Believe me. And then there are also, apps that you could download and anything there are things now that you could actually just go into the App Store, the iPhone, and just download stuff that could assist.
Right. So when you say text to speech, I talk into the phone.
Yeah, you talk.
Just explain a little bit how it works.
Okay. Now, for those who use WhatsApp, it's basically like that. You hold down there's a little mic.
Right.
Yeah, and you hold it down. And you speak into it. So if you say you're searching for restaurants, so you hold it down and you will say restaurants. And a number of restaurants will come. Rather than you having to take the phone, which could be, challenging for us and on our eyes, and just talk into the phone. And let the phone do the work for you. Okay. And then there are also screen readers for those who use the computers a lot. Yeah, there are screen readers that you could actually use now to assist with looking at the screen. The computer will actually read to you.
Okay, well, that's brilliant. I think definitely technology is helping us in many different ways. Avalon, I just want to go back a little bit and speak about some of the challenges you may face. Because I hear what people are saying, in Africa, they look for albinos. What do you do with them? Tell us a bit more.
Well, I could even use my personal experience here. Sometimes people will see me and they say, if he was in Africa, he'd have been dead. And I'm thinking, what? But, in sub-Saharan Africa, places like Malawi and Tanzania, there's a general belief or a cultural belief spread by witch doctors that our body parts could be used we could be used to make people famous. We have powers. They believe we have special powers and special abilities. So what they do is they will go into homes and actually kidnap persons with albinism. They will mutilate mutilate them, cut off their limbs, to put in portions for election purposes.
goodness.
Yeah, actually, during elections, it's one of the scariest times for persons with albinism because they actually have to leave and go into protective camps to protect themselves during that period because the increase of the murders increased during around that time.
That is extreme.
Yes,
that is
it is.
extreme. And other challenges that face us locally. So when you move on from secondary school, I mean, you want to go look for, you're in university or you want to further your education, you want to look for a job. What other challenges do you think persons with albinism face?
That general, when you go there, it's a general lack of knowledge in some instances because we have persons who don't know what this condition is, they don't know what you are, as they say, what are you? You know, so they may take you into the workplace, but not knowing that, okay, this person coming in, you have to understand that if you send this person into a room full of persons to look for somebody, this person is not going to be able to see, not going to be able to, to identify what you may send them to. So it's the lack of understanding, lack of knowledge generally in society is a challenge.
Right, because then they might say, well, they can't see, she's right there.
Yeah.
So you have to be sensitive.
They usually, they will do things like that. So you always find that you and person with albinism generally have to become a teacher,
Right.
You always have to teach. You take the opportunity to always educate. Because once you educate one, well, I will always say once you get one to know, you did a lot at the end of the day.
Okay, well, that's great. We're just going to stick up in here, take a short pause, and when we get back, we're going to hear more about Avalon's personal testimony with albinism. Welcome back. You're watching JC 24/7. I'm your host, Joleen MeHarris-Simpson, and here today we're speaking with Avalon Clarke, president of the Trinidad and Tobago Albino Foundation. So, Avalon, earlier we were speaking about challenges that persons with albinism face. Can you tell us a bit of your own personal struggles?
Oh, yeah, sure. My struggles began the day I started school. From the primary level, it was really difficult. I mean, you're going into a setting, generally you're scared because you're going to school, you're leaving home. And then you go into the setting now where people treat you differently. Children, they are innocent, but they could be harsh, Mm-hmm. So, they'll call you names, mm-hmm. They look at you funny. And then, there was the teachers not understanding. So I felt like I was in a world by myself, mm-hmm. Actually. I felt alone a lot of times. You had to sit alone. Children will, separate from you.
Right.
I mean, going along, you had one or two friends, but that lack of knowledge and then not being able to see on the board and just mm-hmm. being scared generally mm-hmm. of speaking up.
That would have affected you.
Yes, throughout, because I ended up having self-esteem. I would say I had a self-esteem problem, believing that I was less than, right. That I didn't belong, mm-hmm. that I couldn't do anything, but there was always something deep inside that kept pushing me. I always had that strong belief in God.
Amen.
So I prayed mm-hmm. and asked God for strength give me courage and, understanding and to just find a way to make it through. So every level of my academic life, I prayed a lot. Every challenge that came up, I prayed and I trust God.
Yes, and we thank God for His goodness and mercy that you're here today, and not just here today, but you have started the Albino Foundation of Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes, I did.
So I'm sure your struggles and your testimony, your faith really propelled you to start this foundation. So tell us what motivated you.
Well, let me tell you, it was in 2014. I was lying down one Sunday afternoon, and I heard something saying, Avalon, you have to start a foundation. Mm-hmm. You have to do it. You have to start to spread awareness. And I jumped off the bed and I told my sister, I said, I have to do this. I have to do it. It so happened, time passed. I started with a Facebook page. And I say, I'll go from there. And as time passed and I finished school and I had time, I say, okay, Avalon, now is the time. Now it's time to get it done. So from there, I went and I registered as an NGO. So I'm actually an NGO now. I have a registered NGO.
Great, congratulations.
Thank you. It was hard work, but I got it done. It was.
And tell us some of the objectives of the foundation. I mean, what do you plan to do? What activities you plan to have?
Right. Well, one of the main objectives of the foundation is to build a community of persons with albinism. It is hoped that from this group, we could bring a community of persons with albinism, because what we find generally in our society is that persons with albinism tend to be, they tend to seclude of themselves. Yes. Yeah, they tend to live, as if they're not a part of society.
And some more social inclusion, right?
Exactly.
Because we're all children of God.
Children of God, exactly. Red and yellow, black and white.
Yes.
Yeah, so we want to ensure that we develop this community. Persons must be able to come together, to share information, to spread awareness. And not only sharing a community, but also developing, educational programs in the workplace, in schools. Because going back to my personal experience, you would see that there's a need for us to go into schools and explain to the teachers as well as students.
Yeah, something I never knew before about the vision, how it affects your vision.
Oh, yes, it affects it very bad. It's awful. And we really need to get that out there. We really need persons to understand that once you see a person with this condition, you must. So it's one of our main goals is to go out into schools and educate. Mm-hmm, you go into schools, you speak to teachers, you speak to students, you let students know how they should interact with that child that may have the condition. You speak to teachers on the level that they must be in a position to provide certain needs and
Exactly.
assistance to students with this condition.
Yes, education
and
is very important.
Education is extremely
Because I
important.
myself, I went to school with someone with albinism, but it never really occurred to me that, they needed special support in the classroom or anything like that.
Yeah,
Just
we
take it
need
for
special
granted.
support. We need it all the time. We need the teachers to be aware that you need special support in the classroom, as well as ensuring that when they're out the classroom, that they are protected at all times.
And what about on the workplace also? Because
Yes.
there are certain tasks you won't be able to do, such
Yes.
as maybe work long hours in the sunshine.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we need to go into the workplaces as well to explain to to bosses, to managers, to directors, that once you have a person with the condition, that you employ someone with the condition, you must take certain steps.
Okay.
Ensure that you ask questions like, what are you able to do? Learn about the condition before you give certain tasks.
Okay. Very important.
Very.
Tell our viewers, how can they contact the foundation?
Well, we're on Instagram, Facebook, and we have an email address as well as phone numbers.
Okay.
So we are into the whole social aspect, so we can be contacted on any one of those.
Any of the social media platforms. You just search for Trinidad and Tobago Albino Foundation.
Yeah, and it will come up.
Right. And of course, we'll have it coming up on the screen also so that you can take a note of it. Avalon, there's someone looking at the program right now, the person with albinism. They rarely go out because they're afraid of being called names. They feel lonely. I mean, what advice would you give to them?
Yeah. Well, I will tell them firstly, I know, because I live it. So I will tell them this is what the foundation was designed for. So firstly, they could reach out on any one of our social media platforms. They could reach out to us. And I will also tell them that anything is possible. Anything is possible. Once you pray and you have that belief and faith in God, He will bring you through.
And we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. Yeah. Amen. I also want to talk a bit about what we can do to be more sensitive to persons with albinism.
Well, one of the insensitive things that people tend to do is stare or make remarks. So, I would just like, persons not to, if they could help themselves by not staring, just making funny remarks. Or, just be sensitive. If you want to ask something, you come nicely. You don't, say things like the same thing with the African thing. That's not what we are.
Exactly. So what can you tell us some of the upcoming activities you have planned for the foundation?
Well, it is my hope, going back to what I was saying before, to start going into schools and the workplace and stuff like that. Or even we actually have a day now that was allocated to us today. The albinism community worldwide, the UK, they granted us we have World Albinism Awareness Day now, which is June 13th.
Okay, so that's coming up very soon.
Yeah,
yes,
it is. But I hope to be having something, even if it's just going on our media platforms and sharing information, as we do now, but even more so on that day.
Okay, great. So persons can go onto Facebook, Instagram, and look out for the events that you'll be having. It's World Albinism Day?
Yeah, World Albinism
on
Awareness.
June 13th. Okay, great. Tell us, Avalon, how would you say that albinism has changed you or has helped you develop into the adult that you are today?
Well, I would say from going from a person that was very shy and had a self-esteem problem, now I would say that it's the reverse. I'm very confident. I am my own cheerleader. I would encourage myself, you could do it. And now, even recently, I started saying, you unique, think about it. 1 in 20,000 persons.
1 in 20,000
born with the condition. And I said, what are the odds that I am that person? I cheer myself on. And advise everybody out there with the condition as well to also be your own cheerleader. You can do it. It is possible.
That's so good. So I just want to remind our viewers on tips. If you know someone with albinism, or if you yourself have albinism, just give us reminder for some of the tips that we should take for our vision, you said? Vision
Yes,
and
the
skin.
vision.
That's the two.
Yeah, the two main, yeah. Once you're you always use shades. Always use sunglasses as well as umbrellas. Use long clothing once you're in the sun. Use sunscreen and also reapply if you're going to be out there. It's also advisable if you're going to the beach that you go early in the mornings, like 5, before the sun comes up, or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. We shouldn't be at the beach during the hours of from 7 to 3.
Okay.
4. Yeah.
Okay, great. So we would like to thank Ms. Avalon Clarke for being here with us today and sharing such great information about albinism. I think we ourselves, we need to be more sensitive and aware of the condition and make an effort, as you say, to talk to someone, get more information about it. Don't just stare, as you're saying, that's impolite. Don't call you names. So we are called to live together in unity, to love each other, because we are all children of God. So thank you once again for joining us for JC 24/7. I'm your co-host, Joleen MeHarris-Simpson. Do join us soon again.
Thank you for viewing JC 24/7. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and remember to inspire your living as you prepare for heaven. You can get it all on JC 24/7.